All right, guys, welcome back for another video on the Parallel Society YouTube channel. I want to review this video that I watched recently, review and comment by Ray Dalio. For those of you who don't know, Ray Dalio is one of the most successful investors of all time. And I'm not really concerned about the money, but what he does is a really interesting reflection on the rise and fall of civilizations. And so this is kind of apt for what we're dealing with now in our modern Western world. We are dealing with, unfortunately, the fall, the collapse, the decline of the Western world. It has a lot to do with the decline in education, the decline in the family structure, the decline in economic structure. And what I think is useful about this video, and what we'll see in just a moment, is if we can understand how the problem is created, we can probably create a solution to that problem going forward when we create our parallel society. We can take care of and not make the same mistakes that current societies that have failed or in the past have failed make. Now, that doesn't mean that whatever is created will last forever, but we can stave off some of the negative consequences of poor decisions. So let's take a look at this. He's going to talk about the rise of a dominant community, a dominant social structure, a dominant country. So let's watch a little bit and then I'll pause, we'll discuss a little bit and we'll go from there. All right, let's stop there for a second and let's go over these four different things that he talked about. So the first one was having this strong leader that gets people to their side. Now, I don't necessarily want to be the leader, but if I have to, I will. But there's other people out there that are of the same mindset as myself. I've talked to some, I've watched videos from others. This idea that instead of a bloody revolution, instead of fighting the power, instead of trying to tear it down and rebuild it, we should just build our own thing parallel to the current mainstream society. And we gain people, we gain followers by simply doing it well. That's step number two. We do it well. Now, one of the things that is necessary, and this is number three, is that we have to have good institutions and good systems. Now, if you watch my previous video about building a parallel society from the ground up, from the foundation up, what I talk about is the necessity to have a sustainable community. And what I mean by a sustainable community is I mean one that takes care of its water resource, one that takes care of its soil resource so that there's fertility in the soil, and thus you can produce food. That is the basis. If we can't do that, then we can't have a society. We need to be able to have water, we need to have good soil, and we need to have food. If we have those three things, we can build more on top of that. We can build an educational system. We can build a system of governance, so on and so forth. We can build communities. That is what's really important. Now, the last part, part four, is all about having systems in place so that we can perpetuate this system. We have to have proper successors for our leaders. Now, I have a different take on this. And I have something that I think that will deal with the situation that we are in right now with our messed up political system, with our politicians that don't seem to know what they're doing. What we need is what the founders of this country, of the United States, professed. We need a system of distributed, self-contained, and autonomous regions that are trying all different things, right? Every single region, every single autonomous unit is going to need that foundation that I talked about of water, soil, and food. But beyond that, how it's governed, what institutions they set up, it should all be individual, and it should be an experiment. It should be an evolutionary landscape. And the benefit of that is that the good ideas, the good systems, the good institutions propagate. The bad ones fall away. And over time, you evolve into the most ideal situation, the most ideal community. But the autonomy, the closeness of community, that is really important because that prevents centralization of power. You get the same problem that you had with the European Union, which is some bureaucrat in 10 countries over is making decisions about your local community. That's not going to work. The people in the community have to make decisions about the community. Now, whether that is a benevolent dictator, or that is an oligarchy of elders, or that is a democratic or republic process, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. What matters is that the people in the community make the decisions about the community. So that's really where I think that I differ with what Ray Dalio is talking about here, because this really hasn't been instituted. It really hasn't been done in the past in this manner. So let's listen to a little bit more. I think that he has a piece on education coming up here, and not to give too much away about myself, but I am in education. And so I do have a strong opinion on the educational system. So let's see what we hear here.
Because a great empire requires many great leaders over several generations. At this stage, soon after winning the fight, there is typically a period of peace and growing prosperity because the leadership is clearly dominant and has broad support, so no one wants to fight it. During this phase, leaders within the country have to design an excellent system to raise the country's wealth and power. First and foremost, to be great, they must have strong education, which is not just teaching knowledge and skills, but also strong character, civility, and work ethic. These are typically taught in the family, schools, and religious institutions. That provides a healthy respect for rules and laws, order within society, low corruption, and enables them to unite behind a common purpose and work well together.
So here we see him talking about education, but not just math and English, humanities and history, but he's also talking about the education of the soul. I am blessed enough to be working at a school that is not in the mainstream public education, where there is an emphasis. It's actually been stated by the administration that we are far more concerned with the development of the character of our scholars, our students, than the development of their algebraic ability. That's huge, right? In a world where standards, that is huge, or testing standards, that's huge, right? So you need this peace and prosperity, and you need an ethos in the community of something greater, of the purpose of the community, of what makes the community strong, which is strong individuals with virtue and good character. That's huge. It is my dream and it has been for a long time, to set up my own school. And one of the things that I wanted to emphasize, besides a classical education, was whole human education. So this is PE, but not the type of physical education that we've seen in the public school systems, but we need a physical education that allows human beings to be the amazing physical specimens that they are. We need to develop the mind and the body and the character and the spirit. So this is something that I can go into more in the future. But one of the things that's really important for you right now, and this is one step that you can take towards a parallel society, is take your kids out of public school. Put them in a charter, put them in a private, homeschool them. All of those options are superior. Let me tell you, having come from working in the public school system, if you knew what was going on in the classroom, you would take your kids out in a heartbeat, because they're not even learning math and English. They're not even learning the basics. They're being indoctrinated into ideologies that weaken them as individuals, telling them that people are victims instead of telling them that they should be heroes. And here's a really good point. The hero's journey, outlined by Campbell, right? He wrote The Hero with 1,000 Faces, something along those lines. I don't know if I'm butchering, but the whole idea is the hero is somebody who goes from a place of comfort, voluntarily engages with chaos, with challenge, with difficulty, with discomfort, and from that experience brings something back to share with the community. Now, if the person just went out and battled something and only gained something for themselves, they're not a hero. They may be brave, they may be courageous, they may be good, but they're not a hero. What makes them a hero is sharing it with the community. All right. And we're not teaching that anymore. We're not teaching that ethos of, hey, your job is to be the best version of yourself so that you can help other people. And the most pleasure, joy, contentment that you're going to get from life is not from doing something selfish, but from helping other people, especially people you love and people who are in your community. So I'm going to stop it right there. I would love it if you could share this, comments, likes, subscribes. I want to hear your opinion. Until next time, thanks for watching.